hello to the author Jacqueline King. Hi.
Hello.
And I thank you so much for coming to Fun Kids.
Oh, it's a great pleasure.
And you've brought with you a brand new book called A Cake for the Gestapo.
I have.
Which,
yes.
So we've had this book a little bit at Fun Kids, and people keep seeing the title and they're like, that book sounds intriguing. So if any listeners right now are thinking, wow, what is it about? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it was a complicated title to choose because there were actually no Gestapo on the island during the occupation. But there were constant rumours that there were. So I decided we better go for it and put them in, seeing as it's a story.
I see. So the island is Jersey?
The island is Jersey, and it was occupied for 5 years during World War II, and not many children know that in Britain.
Not many adults know that
Not many
either.
adults know that, and I felt I wanted to tell the story because my family come from there.
I did, because I did research. After I read the book, I researched. I didn't realise 5 years of occupation.
Yes.
It's a long
5 years.
time.
Yes, it really was for them, I think, mostly boring, but they did witness some awful things.
Yeah.
And they were imprisoned, of course, in their island. So it was hard.
Well, I read at the back of the book you say something about basically being in a prison where the sea, the four walls.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, if they tried to escape, they were in trouble. They were punished very severely.
Did people try to escape?
They certainly did, and my uncle escaped successfully. But if he'd been caught, he would have been sent to concentration camp.
Oh, wow.
So it was tough.
Yeah, so in the book, you tell it from the perspective of a group of friends.
Totally, yes.
You've got Spinner, Joe, Clem and Ginger.
And enemy, Percy.
And Percy, of course, as well. You've also got Peggy the Pig. Can you tell us a little bit about the gang?
Well, the gang sort of came to me gradually, but I recognise now that they are all slightly linked subconsciously with my family. So the great hero, I suppose, is Joe. He's a real quintessential Jersey boy.
Mm-hmm.
Very can't stand authority, stands up to it, laughs at them, plays tricks on them. I'm very fond of Joe. He's got nothing really, but he's got a lot of friends and he's got great character. Mm-hmm. So I love him. Spinner's got a little bit of me in, really, slightly.
I love Spinner.
Oh, well, she's got this great dad who slightly reminds me of my mum because he's a musician, and she's very nervous. She gets sick with terror, but she does it. She goes for it, and she's Joe's friend. Mm-hmm. We've got Ginger, who's a trumpeter. He's a trumpeting genius, who's considered by Percy the bully to be the posh boy, mm-hmm. but he's just a Jersey boy, really, and he's discovers his inner brave, really, during the book. And then there's Clem, and Clem is a real Jersey solid, stand up and be counted sort of bloke who defends everyone, but he loses his temper, which is dangerous.
It's a really interesting dynamic, all the friends together.
Oh, good.
Because it's really fun as well. They form a little gang, they form a band.
Yeah.
They really love spending time together, and they kind of like find fun even in what must be quite a scary situation when you've got the soldiers around.
I think they thought it was going to be terrifying, but in fact it was a model occupation. Most of the soldiers loved the kids, but there were very dark sides to it. I know that, but that's the side people really want to forget, and I wanted to emphasise the good mm-hmm. and the resilience and the great Jersey character, which I hope I've done.
Yeah, absolutely. Also in the book, they've got a lot of fun tricks they get up to with the bees, for example.
Yeah.
Was that something that actually happened? Because I know you chatted to people for research.
Oh, well, I didn't want to completely use their stories because there are so many books in Jersey about this, and that's their stories, so I sort of changed them a bit.
Okay.
There are a few bits in there, like throwing muck on the road, which just farmers love doing for them. So the soldiers had to walk through muck. I mean, that was just pleasing, wasn't it?
Of course, yeah.
But a lot of them I made up myself, and then I met this amazing man, Bernie. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can read what he said.
Yeah, sure.
And some of his tricks are in here.
Yeah, okay.
One of the things he told me that impressed me was they were so hungry at the end of the war, the last Christmas. They just cut out pictures of pies and gave them to each other.
Oh, wow.
And their present was to describe what they might taste like, but they hadn't tasted anything like that for years. So they weren't starving, but they were very, very hungry. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So he was the one that inspired me to get going on it and see it from the kids' point of view, because he sounded like he was such a naughty little boy, and I like that. So he wrote, "We kids thought the German occupation was an adventure, a bit of fun. I was 7 when the soldiers arrived. I got up to all sorts of dangerous things, using caps from my toy guns and making them jump. I stole from them too. I didn't understand the danger because our parents hid the dark side from us. They were so brave. But in the end, we were starving. When the islands were liberated, I was given a piece of white bread. It was the most delicious thing I'd ever eaten, and I thought it was cake. My mother cried then."
See, with the book as well, you kind of you have a glimpse into the parents' lives as well.
Yes, I've tried to, yes.
Yeah, and they're clearly finding it difficult, but kind of still banding together and making sure everyone's okay. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So you must have heard stories about that as well.
Definitely, and my grandparents were there, and they never talked about the dark sides in front of us. I mean, I was born after the war, but we had such a paradise of a time when they were building Jersey up after the war. They never talked about the awful things that went on. They wanted to go back to being paradise, really.
Yeah, sure.
And they gave that to us. But we just heard the funny stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew my great aunt used to feed the Russian soldiers who were had to do slave labour there, and they were in a terrible state. And my auntie used to feed them boiled potatoes. She used to lean down, tie up her shoelace, and shove a potato under the hedge. Again, she would have been sent to concentration camp for doing that.
Wow.
But that was the story. And there was another story my grandma told me that she just laughed about. She said, we were so hungry, but we went catching limpets to feed the cats. And we saw a couple of lobsters fighting under a rock. And her cousin, Nellie, and she pulled the lobsters, pulled them apart, then, separated them, put them under their coats and ran home. And they kept passing German soldiers who were also probably hungrier than them.
Yeah.
And they had these wriggling lobsters under their coats, and she just laughed till she cried. And she never told me the horrid things.
Oh wow! Just told you the kind of the funnier. Yeah, wow. Because I didn't realise that Jersey had been in such dire straits during the war.
It was in dire straits, yes.
Yeah.
And I found a letter from my dad, and he was only 23, and he was running the engines on a battleship, which his parents wouldn't have known. But he wrote to them and said, I'm sure everything's going to be perfectly all right, but I hope you've got enough coal, dears. All my love. And that was the last letter they had from him for 5 years.
Wow.
They didn't know. They did get Red Cross letters, which were 25 words long.
Yeah, in the book, of course. Yeah, I found that out as well. I didn't realise. Can you imagine just having 25 to kind of say everything you need to say?
It took about 3 or 4 months till they got messages through.
Right.
And my other uncle died, my Uncle Jack, who I'm named after. And they didn't hear about that for months after he died.
Wow.
So, and then I found the letter, which also impressed me, by my grandmother. She wrote to someone saying, it's not the length of a life that is important, but the quality of the life lived. And I thought that was so brave, and I think that was their attitude.
Yeah, that's
quality of life.
Really good attitude. And also there's a lot of Jersey French language in the book as well, which for readers might be a bit interesting because it's not something that's well known.
No, not. And of course they used that as a code. They'd ring each other up. They could use a phone in the island, but of course they couldn't phone out.
Right.
And they phoned each other, and if there was an emergency, like they're coming, they'd say it in Jersey French, which I can't do.
Okay.
I had to get help. My grandpa spoke Jersey French.
Yeah, no, I have a few friends who speak it, and it always blows my mind that it actually is
do you?
a thing.
Wow,
yeah. I'm like, oh gosh, it's a new language. Right. So with all authors on Fun Kids, I have a little quick fire round of questions. I thought I'd do that with you right now, if
Carry
that's
on.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, lovely. So first of all, books or Kindles?
I'm afraid books.
Don't be afraid.
Books. Adore books. I like the smell of them.
Every author says books. That's just to ease you in gently. Don't worry about it. Heroes or villains?
Bit of both.
Bit of both. Okay. Film adaptation or TV adaptation?
Both, please.
If anyone's listening. Jersey or Guernsey?
I'm afraid Jersey. Love Jersey. Where is Guernsey anyhow?
Where is it?
Yeah.
It's somewhere down there, isn't it? It's nearby. That's the same thing. Writing or reading?
Both.
Both. Hogwarts or Narnia?
Narnia.
Narnia, okay. Laptop or write by hand?
Both.
Both. Roald Dahl or Jacqueline Wilson?
Both.
Both?
I've met Roald Dahl.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. You're the first person to say that. Was he nice?
He was extraordinary. I worked in a garden centre, and he used to come and choose the bulbs there. And he was great fun, just hugely fun.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Bookshop visit or school tour?
Both.
Both. Do you write 9 to 5 or whenever you fancy?
5 to 9.
Oh, okay. Paddington Bear or Winnie the Pooh?
Both.
And salt and vinegar or cheese and onion?
Salt and vinegar.
That's the correct answer. Good. That's the main one I'm bothered about. Good. Salt and vinegar. Excellent.
Yeah, it's really important, actually.
Brilliant. So Jacqueline King, we should say A Cake for the Gestapo is out right now.
Right now.
And everybody can notice it because it has an amazing cover with lots of planes flying across it.
Yes, German Heinkels.
German Heinkels.
So I'm told.
Excellent stuff. So we can look out for it in shops. Jacqueline, thank you so much for popping by.
You're very welcome. Lovely to meet you.
You too. Thanks.